Kelly fella.
Got it. We'll do it.
All right, good morning, everybody. Apple says it's 9 o'clock, so I'd call to order this regularly scheduled meeting of the Burnet County Commissioners Court here on this Tuesday, October the 8th, 2024. Gonna have to put the year in there, so here in the upstairs courtroom of the historic courthouse. Apologies, I've got a little bit of fever, not really feeling my best today, not hitting on all my cylinders, so ask for a little. In lieu of an invocation today, I'd be remiss if we just didn't honor the Shell family. What happened last week was horrible, it was atrocious. If you're familiar with it, you're familiar. If you're familiar with it, you're familiar with it. If you're not, I'm not gonna go into detail, but I'd ask for a moment of silence for the Shell family. I thank you, and I'm sure they do as well.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
All right, I guess you're ready.
I am.
All right, well, that means we're ready to go to public comment.
Thank you.
Remind you that we have 3-minute speaking limit.
Okay, good
We will
morning.
get that going. All right.
Good morning, Claire Nybro, Burnet County voter, taxpayer, and interested person. On Sunday, October 6, 2024, I received, actually this was yesterday, I have my date wrong. I received a response to a public information request made to Shirley Bullard in July 2024. Under direction from Ms. Bullard, County Attorney Arredondo claimed that this information was exempt from public disclosure. I objected to the exemption and asked Mr. Arredondo to obtain an Attorney General opinion. On September 23rd, the AG's office directed Mr. Arredondo to disclose 122 pages of emails, mostly between Judge Oakley and Baker Tilly personnel. Of particular interest is an email Judge Oakley wrote on June 13th to Paul Nash, his Baker Tilly contact in London. A few salient points. In his June 13th email, Judge Oakley mentioned under the interviews section that the, quote, BT team did not contact everyone they were instructed to contact. The report only documents rhetoric from the sheriff and chief deputy. Please remove. The sheriff was not asked the questions the B team was directed to ask, close quote. Under the recommendations section, Judge Oakley wrote, quote, maybe a one-sentence response recommending a criminal investigation, close quote. Paul Nash responded on June 27th, in which he said, we received the single whistleblower complaint, an image of a text message which provided very limited details. Judge Oakley replied on June 28th, quote, please pay attention to the items that were requested to be taken out. I see it as problematic to add things at this point. The best takeaway from the draft is the gross number of entries that are included on a table. That is really the meat of the report, close quote. On August 13th, when the Baker Tilly report finally dropped, Judge Oakley said this on the record. Quote, "So I can't stress enough, there's nothing personal about this," close quote, and, quote, "I have an obligation to see that through without an expected outcome," close quote. If there was no expectation of a desired outcome, then why did Judge Oakley tell Baker Tilly to remove statements made by Sheriff Boyd and Chief Deputy Trevino? Why was Judge Oakley giving the Baker Tilly team the questions he wanted them to ask the sheriff? Why did he ask for a sentence recommending a criminal investigation to be included? When my 3 minutes are up, other voters, taxpayers, and interested persons will follow behind me, each using their 3 minutes to read the entire email read into the record. Thank you.
Okay. Is there any other public comment? Yes, ma'am.
Sherry Palmer, I'm here to read the email. Paul, as requested, please see our written concerns about the project and draft report that mostly follows what we voiced on the phone call yesterday. Also, this engagement was approved on a not to exceed $20,000. To date, we have been invoiced and likewise erroneously paid over $28,000. I wanted to provide background to BT that is for perspective only and not for reproduction. I do not want the report to include that this forensic audit is the result of complaints received from current and former employees made to the Burnet County Auditor's Office. The reason Burnet County engaged with Baker Tilly was due to our need to have a large and reputable firm produce and present a report that documented time clock entries wherein the original entry had been later edited by a supervisor, such that time was added and coded with either FTO or CTO. The time added was overtime, yet it was for time not actually worked. This was done so the employee received extra pay for a task performed during their daily shift. The task performed was that the employee would train a new employee as part of their shift work. The Sheriff's Office management made the decision to give those employees a premium for performing their duties. The premium pay was not in the form of giving out overtime pay, but altering the employee's timesheet by adding time to it, even though that time was not actually worked. This is against the law. There is no budget established for premium pay. In local government, nothing can be paid that is not budgeted for by line item. This activity was discovered based on complaints from former and current Sheriff's Office employees that knew what was happening was not legal. When it was brought to the SO's attention in early August 22, they said if it is occurring that it would cease immediately. The district attorney was also informed of the activity. The occurrences continued, and after 3 months from the initial revelation of activity, the DA was informed in early November 22 of the continued activity. He said, quote, "The sheriff says it isn't happening," end quote. That was the end of that conversation, as he made it clear he did not intend to look into it. I made it clear to the DA that the payroll fraud would become public as our annual outside audit would be completed at the end of March 23, and I would apprise them of the activity. To keep that from happening, the DA and sheriff brought up false charges against me such that I was suspended in early March. When I was cleared of these charges and came back 6 months later, September, is when the Commissioner's Court made the unanimous decision to seek a forensic audit. We engaged with Baker Tilly in late September. Because the DA seemingly will not investigate, the Commissioner's Court needed a formalized report from the outside firm to reinforce the internal findings.
Thank you.
May I continue?
Yeah. All right. Is there any more public comment?
Charlie Parker, taxpayer, voter, Burnet County. When I was cleared of the charges and came back 6 months later in September is when the Commissioner's Court made the unanimous decision to seek a forensic audit. We engaged with Baker Tilly in late September. Because the district attorney seemingly will not investigate, the Commissioner's Court needed a formalized report from an outside firm to reinforce the internal findings. The Baker Tilly report would be used as a basis for the Commissioner's Court to direct the county attorney to seek a criminal investigation and prosecution from an appropriate state entity. The county attorney's office is not an investigative office, and the fraud activity is a felony level crime to which the county attorney does not have the authority on felony charges. In providing all of this background for your team to gain perspective as to why we engaged, this information is not to be included in the report, the draft report. The draft was received, contains non-pertinent information such as background of allegations and specifically who was responsible for reporting the activity. The draft makes mention of the separation of then HR director. That does not need to be included. Her separation seems to be used as an excuse for the shortcomings in budget mismanagement of Baker Tilly. It was clearly communicated that Mrs. Luther was available and via her cell phone and personal email addresses for any needs. She was never contacted beyond our initial hello, meet the team phone call in October. No one was ever contacted for any technical needs, other questions, or concerns. The portal access that was provided during the initial phone call was not utilized for 3 months. Then on January the 17th, 2024, we were informed of budget constraints and the need to limit activities. We all looked at each other perplexed as nothing really has been done yet. The draft report does not include most of the key elements that we understand would be included. Burnet County agreed to provide access to Time Clock Plus. Baker Tilly team was advised how to access the system to view audit logs to determine when the time entries were made or altered and by whom. It was the understanding of Burnet County that Baker Tilly would use the sampling of time records provided as a template for conducting a more thorough audit. About the only good part of the draft report is it illustrates the number of instances that FTO and CTO were used in the timesheet audits. It does not show that the time added to the entry was added by a supervisor later and not part of the original entry. Only supervisors have the ability to audit the entries.
Patty Cope, Burnet County voter, taxpayer, interested person. I'm going to continue on page 108 of 122 under interviews. The BT team did not contact everyone they were instructed to contact. And just for context, this is an email from Judge James Oakley to Paul at Baker Tilly. The report only documents rhetoric from the sheriff and chief deputy. Please remove. The sheriff was not asked the questions BT team was directed to ask, such as how is FTO CTO funded? Is there a line item in the budget approved by Commissioner Court for FTO CTO? There is an advertisement on the sheriff's office Facebook page calling for job applicants that include FTO pay as one of the benefits. Is there an FTO pay program? What about the responses from the current and former employees? What were they asked? When our county auditor, Karen Smith, told me she had been contacted by BT, she told me they asked questions that were not relevant to the topic. She confided in me that they didn't seem to know what they were doing and asked nothing specific to our situation. Based on her account of the phone call, I'm not confident of any of the interviews unless provided information to the contrary. The next one is DA outreach. We are okay with the report documenting the DA's repeated outreach attempts, and that communication with that office was not within the scope of service. The report should not include any perceptions of an investigation by the DA. Did y'all vote for that? Recommendations. Okay, BT's draft report contains recommendations. I'm not sure that is really necessary, but we can have that discussion. Maybe a one-sentence response recommending a criminal investigation. Presentation. As was stressed prior to engagement and sure to be included in the scope was the importance of a representative to present the findings. It would appear that BT does not intend to honor that aspect of the scope. In light of how this project has played out, I'm not sure there is a member of the BT team that thus far grasps the nature of our project such that I would be comfortable with them being subjected to public questions. I hope this communication helps to clear the gap between the draft provided versus the work product anticipated. We look forward to the next conversation. James Oakley, Burnet County Judge. Particularly interesting on page 109 is an email address of Sarah Ann Luther, which is Commissioner Luther's wife, at Gmail after she left employment of the county. So we were told that we were not allowed to see this paperwork, but there is a member of the public who was involved in the email. Thank you for your time.
Okay, is there any other public comment?
Good morning. I'm making a public comment since there's no longer department updates on the agenda, nor are there old business, nor is there old business on the agenda in order to speak from behalf of the sheriff's office.
I'd recommended legally to not have that on there anymore.
Okay. Well, can I continue?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. So I wanted to give an update on the jail status. We had a committee that formed back in December. And at the close of the business year this year, at that point, there was some significant concern about the funding of the jail and how it was run, and that we had lost some contracts. And I just wanted to report on, as of the close of last year, fiscal year, the amount funded from the county was 5.1 that we should have been receiving for invoicing for out-of-county inmates. And we should have, from records, it looks like we're going to be at 6.8, almost 6.9, which is 1.7 million over what the county budgeted that we should be bringing in. Additionally, concern was the number of inmates that were at the jail that had dropped significantly. As of yesterday, we had 520 inmates in a jail that has capacity of roughly 587. So we are at capacity of what we can have numbers-wise, and including in that is y'all had heard considerable discussion about how many of our own inmates. Of that 520, 180 of them are ours, and so that goes right along with what we were talking about. That those numbers are increasing and remain and continue to increase, and so we increased the number from the 150 to 170 to 200 to 150 to be our county numbers, and we're certainly close to that. Any given day. That's the report from that I wanted to provide on the jail. The second report would be about the incident that occurred on Sunday. Just an update on that. That we, as a sheriff's office, expended a lot of resources. We, along with our partnerships with multiple law enforcement agencies, mostly to include the Texas Department of Public Safety, which provided a great number of resources with the Rangers, Criminal Intelligence, Counterterrorism Group, and Burnet PD, Texas Parks and Wildlife. I try not to miss anybody, but we utilized a lot of resources, and we got the call at 9:33, and we were able to do a press conference yesterday at 3:30 that the case is not complete, obviously, but that we had come to a conclusion that there was some significant fabrication on behalf of the church member, and so I wanted to pass that on.
All right. Is there any other public comment? All right. Then we'd go to item 4, which would be a presentation from the Texas Housing Foundation. Ms. Allison Milliron. Hi. We have Griff Morris here, former.
Hi, I'm Griff Morris.
Falls
I'm here
Mayor.
to introduce Allison as our new CEO and to dispel a little conjecture about why Mark Mayfield is no longer with us. Mark retired. He submitted a letter of retirement. He was not demoted. He wasn't fired. He wasn't axed. He has retired in good faith, and he's done a wonderful job for 37 years, and now Allison is our new CEO. This is Allison Milliron.
All right. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. I wanted to thank you for the opportunity to speak to you all today. As Griff mentioned, my name is Allison Miller, and I'm the new CEO of the Texas Housing Foundation. I want to start with reaffirming our mission, which has guided us for years, to build hope and change futures through quality housing and services. Our mission has not changed, nor will it. Our approach to housing is evolving. We're making a strategic shift away from property management to focus more heavily on development. This shift allows us to meet the growing demand of affordable housing across the state, including here in Burnet County. As you're aware, affordable housing is critical to the well-being of our communities, and we want to ensure that we're doing our part to address the shortage. In fact, recently, we made a significant contribution to Burnet County by donating one of our apartment complexes in Marble Falls to the Highland Lakes Crisis Network. This complex is now being used for transitional housing, which provides much-needed shelter and support to families in crisis. We're proud of this partnership, and we see it as just another way that we're living out our mission. We're here today to reaffirm that we stand ready to help with the affordable housing shortage in Burnet County. We'd love to hear from the court about specific needs that you're seeing and how we can be of greater assistance in this area. In addition to housing, the Texas Housing Foundation also owns and funds the community resource centers in several counties, including here in Burnet County. These centers play an essential role in providing resources and services that go beyond housing. At the heart of our mission, we believe that housing is just the first step in building a stable and thriving community, and we're committed to expanding those services to better serve your constituents. I want to close by reiterating our commitment to the citizens of Burnet County and all of our stakeholders. We value the partnerships that we formed here and look forward to continuing to work closely with you to support the needs of this community. And lastly, I'd love the opportunity to speak with each of you individually about your priorities and how the Texas Housing Foundation can align our efforts to best serve your county's goals. Thank you.
All right. Gentlemen, do you have any questions?
No. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for what y'all do, and, it's there's a need for affordable housing, and anything that can be done in that direction is a good thing. So thank you for being here. Griff? All right. 5 would be a presentation of a proclamation of the Texas Extension Educators Association Week, TEA. Ms. Tarla, there you are.
Hello. I'm going to introduce Roxanne Dunnigan. She is the president of the TIA for Burnet County, known as BIA as well, and she is going to do all the talking because she's way better at it than I am.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. Thanks so much for the opportunity to come this morning and for the proclamation of TIA Week, which is this week. I'd also like to recognize some of our 53 members throughout the Burnet County area, and if those ladies could just wave their hands. We really focus on the community service that we provide, education, not only from our years of experience, but certainly the research-based knowledge that we get from Texas A&M. And finally, 4-H. We try to support all of the efforts of 4-H throughout the county. And we just appreciate the opportunity to come by. The relationship between Texas A&M and the county commissioners are 106 years old. And the Burnet County clubs, and we have 4 throughout the county, are from 1935 and 1936. So we have some great history together, and we look forward to working with all of you as we build our membership throughout the county and enjoy your support.
All right.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, any questions?
Move for approval?
Move for adoption.
Yeah, move for adoption.
All right. So we have a
Second.
resolution. I think we could probably forego reading it into the record, but we have a motion to adopt that. And all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
6 is presentation of VG Young Institute completion certificate to Damon Byerly from Kelly Tartlow. Is Kelly still here? There
I'm
you
still
are.
here. I didn't go anywhere.
Can't hide in that jacket.
No, I know it. I just wanted to bring this certificate of completion. There is the VG Young Institute for County Government and Texas A&M AgriLife Extension partner to bring this to judges and commissioners. And so Damon completed the 4th session and is officially done with this, right? And you learned a lot, had a good trip? Yes, okay. So he is recognized by Dr. Peter McGill, who is the VG Young Institute coordinator, and also Dr. Rick Avery, so who is the director of Texas A&M AgriLife Extension. So,
All right. I'm gonna get a photo there.
I did. Thank you.
Okay. Next item is item 7, which would be discussion or action moving the regularly scheduled Commissioners Court meeting from December the 24th, 2024 to December the 19th. That would be a Thursday. Does that work well
On with me?
with y'all? Obviously, this is because it's in conflict with the Christmas holidays.
And move for approval. Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to be very clear to move the meeting from the 24th to the 19th, from a Tuesday to a Thursday. All in agreement, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Item 8 would be discussion or action regarding amending the meal policy per diem rate. Karen, Ms. Auditor, you have something on this, or Shirley, do you have?
The annual GSA rate has changed for 2025, and so if the county would like to, you can increase the per diem rate.
And who sets that standard?
General Services Commission, it's the federal government. If you exceed the GSA rates, then it becomes a taxable event.
Okay.
The 63 is actually the standard rate for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. There is a $5 incremental or incidental rate that you can add. In the past, we have not. We've done just the breakfast, lunch, and dinner rate.
Okay.
It would increase the rate from $50 per day to $63 per day.
All right. Is there any questions, comments, or motions?
Move for approval?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We do have our esteemed treasurer in the house. Ms. Crownover, discussion or action regarding the approval of the treasurer's monthly report for August 2024.
Good morning. So some quick numbers for August. We had a beginning cash and investments balance of $63,126,361.96. We receipted $2,226,361.96. We received interest earnings in the amount of $280,399.25. We dispersed $6,199,274.96, leaving us with a month ending cash and investments balance of $59,392,863.30. We did receive donations to vet rides for $1,279.
All right. Gentlemen, is there any questions, comments, or motions?
Move for acceptance. Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
10,
Public comment?
sure. I was opening up item 10. So you have a public,
I do. I see that this, you didn't read it in the record, so I'll go ahead and do it. Discussion interaction regarding an anonymous letter received on October 1st, 2024, accusing Commissioner Damon Byerly of violating local government code 171.004. Well, when I saw that, I took it in under my own initiative to check out the public record, looked at the minutes. The accusations contained in that letter are false. I have included on my public handout, which I will give to the county clerk for inclusion into the record when I'm done. The minutes, I included a screenshot from the May 9th, 2023 minutes on agenda item 18C. It clearly shows that Commissioner Byerly had abstained from this motion to, it's a tourism sponsorship for the summer concert in the amount of $3,600. And he abstained again on May 23rd, 2023, agenda item 25B. This is another sponsorship of the Marble Falls Concert Series in the amount of $5,000. The minutes clearly show that he abstained on both of these motions, on both of these agenda items. And he did not admit to violating 171.004 or any other law violation on September 12th, 2023 that's alleged in this anonymous letter. The letter says, when the judge asked each commissioner individually if they had done this before, all commissioners said no, except Byerly, he said yes. I have a partial transcript from that September 2023 meeting, and on page 2, Judge Oakley is asking Commissioner Byerly. So an example of that would be if you serve on a board, let's say you're on CASA, and Commissioner Byerly said, yes, sir. I believe Commissioner Byerly is the current president of the CASA board. And then later on in that same meeting, Judge Oakley said there's been some item in the past years with Commissioner Byerly with funding from the hot tax from some music events, and you've abstained from those. So that's clearly in the record. He's abstained for both, and on both of these items, and it looks to me like he's in compliance with the requirements of Chapter 171 of the Texas Local Government Code. And I think it's very curious that this letter states the correct statutes and dates, but the conclusions drawn are not factually based, and I just don't think this letter is credible at all. It's backed up in the minutes. He's completely exonerated, in my opinion. And please give that to the clerk. Thank you.
I just have a question, actually a point of order about public comments on item 10. The decorum rules state that the public is also invited to participate in the discussions of agenda items. Are you going to open a discussion for this agenda item after public comments, or are you going to violate the court's rules and make us talk under public comments before the agenda item?
I don't intend to violate anything.
So you'll let people talk on the...
You're talking now.
I'm talking in public comments before you've opened agenda item 10. Are you going to open discussion of agenda item 10 to the public or not?
I'm looking at the quorum rules that were passed, and it says there's a 3-minute time limit per speaker for public comment at the beginning of the meeting and before each agenda item.
What about the
You're in the middle
there's
of
a-
your 3 minutes.
You're missing a sentence right in between those two
I'm
sentences.
looking at the sentence at the very end.
Do you see the sentence that says the public is also invited to participate in the discussions of agenda items? Or maybe it says the public is also invited to participate in the discussions of agenda items.
I guess we'll leave it up to interpretation of the court, and, you know, this is it's the quorum rules that we passed.
So it's a point
So
of,
you get
a
3
point of
minutes at
order about
first
the
and
rules.
3 minutes at the end. 3 minutes at the first of the meeting and 3 minutes before each agenda item. That's what the rule says.
Is the word participate in discussion
Well,
in
maybe
that
we need to-
paragraph?
Maybe we need to revisit the rules of decorum if there's need to clarify that. So I'm not sure what you're asking.
I'm asking for a point of order. I'm asking for the parliamentarian to decide if the rules that are adopted by the court are going to be enforced today, and if the public is going to be allowed to have discussion after you open agenda item 10 or not.
I'm gonna go by the rule that says there's a 3-minute time limit per speaker for public comment at the beginning of the meeting and before each agenda item. That's what it says, so that's what I intend to enforce.
Is there a sentence in between those two that you're not reading?
Well, I mean, it says pursuant to Texas Government Code, there can be no discussion at this time. The public is invited to participate in the discussions of the agenda item. I understand what you're saying. They kind of conflict with each other.
Okay, I was on the decorum committee. All your members of your decorum and rules committee are here. We had legislative intent when we wrote that rule that you all adopted to have the ongoing 17 years and 8 months of tradition of allowing public to speak on
Maybe you should
agenda
have
items.
clarified a little closer as to the difference between discussions versus a 3-minute time speaking limit.
It's a sentence with a period at the end of it.
I get that.
Okay, so you're gonna, what's the rule, what's the decision
I'm
of
not
the?
breaking anything. It says there's a 3-minute time limit for each agenda item.
Okay. For public comment, what about participation in the discussion of agenda
I would
items?
say that you're doing it now.
But I'm in public comment before you've opened the agenda
It's
item.
all semantics.
Okay.
You're
Just-
talking, so we're listening.
Okay. Since January 22nd of 2007, the Burnet County Commissioners Court Rules of Procedure and Conduct have included the sentence, "The public is also invited to participate in the discussions of agenda items." When we had our decorum and rules meeting, we decided to continue the old rules, which included this. The change in the rules, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Commissioner Byerly, you set this on the agenda, so,
I did, thank you.
and yes, we did get this letter. I circulated it to the Commissioners Court and the county attorney, and that's the extent of that. Commissioner Byerly put it on the agenda, correct?
I did.
All right.
I would just like to do some education to the public on the statute and where I'm at, so I figured the best way to handle this is head-on, walking through it with my head up. So I'm going to read the letter so that you guys that haven't read it yet will know what it says, and I'll try to be as fast as I can, but thank you all for coming this morning. Greetings to commissioners and judge from concerned and fearing citizen of Burnet County. I would like to start this letter by explaining why this is being sent anonymously. This is fear of retaliation from some people if they knew who came forward. Seems to be a lot of this going on within the court here lately. I feel part of the retaliation done to Commissioner Wall and Judge Oakley look like retaliation from something they may have done or said. With all of this being said, the reason for this letter is to question, with all the happenings within court members, why is Commissioner Byerly not being investigated for his numerous local government code conflicts and interest 171.004? There has been several, but I will only bring up the two that have not met statute limitations. The code was broken on May the 9th, 2023 for $3,600 concert series, item 18C on the agenda, and May 23rd, 2023 for $5,000 concert series. An individual has gone to law enforcement to report this, and in this conversation, the district attorney was contacted, and he made mention that this could be more than a misdemeanor, maybe even a felony. District attorney stated if the individual wants to make a formal complaint to go fill out the paperwork with his office and he would look into it. This scared the individual because of fear of retaliation and decided not to go forward. Question to the court is, if Commissioner Byerly commits this during court, why isn't the court or the county attorney doing something about this? Why does a citizen have to bring this to attention? Commissioner Byerly admitted to breaking these rules during an open court meeting September 12, 2023, item 14. When the judge asked each commissioner individually if they had done this before, all commissioners said no, except Byerly said yes. I feel someone with the court or county attorney need to look into this before the statute of limitations runs out. Can a copy of this be put in the court minutes at your meeting and given a copy to each commissioner, judge, and county attorney? Thank you for your time, concerned citizen. Okay, That's the letter. You've heard from public comment some things, and I appreciate that. I have the statute. I'm not going to read it. Don't worry. But there's some things I want to start off with. I did not violate Local Government Code 171. I'm glad to know that citizens want to keep elected officials accountable for their actions. I'm glad that's true, and I hope it continues, that we should all be held accountable for everything that we do. Number 3 on that, I hate to hear that any citizen lives in fear of retaliation for coming forward, especially if anything that I'm involved. I don't know where that came from. I can promise you, you can ask my 18-year-old daughter, nobody's scared of me. So, number 4 on my list, sorry. Intent is the key word in all of this. I can tell you that since I've been on this court, common sense told me to abstain anytime there was a connection between an event, which I'm involved in a lot. I help out everywhere I can. I do a lot of things. Some of those I don't get paid for, but I still abstain because I'm on the board or whatever, like your example of CASA. I'm the president of CASA, very proudly the president of CASA. But I abstain anytime that comes up. The same thing's true. I work for the city of Marble Falls. I work for the Burnet EDC. Those guys pay me to provide a service. The connection to the sponsorships are never connected. I don't make a commission on them or anything like that. But common sense always told me to abstain because of my ethics and morals, right? In your brain, you're like, I can't vote on this. Judge Oakley comes back in September and puts it on the agenda, and that's what's referenced here where I admitted that I broke the statute. What had happened was the statute says you have to do 2 things to violate the statute. If you don't abstain and you don't file an affidavit called a CIQ, Conflict of Interest Questionnaire. Before September 23rd, I didn't file CIQs, but I did abstain 100% of the time. Ever since then, I've filed a CIQ every single time it's come up to vote. Now, that day in September, of course, when I saw this and I thought, did I break the law? I called the county attorney, I called the district attorney. They looked at it, the district attorney called another prosecutor in another county and said, let me run this through somebody that definitely is into these government codes like that. I just want to get his opinion. He came back and he said, again, reiterating what I just said, it takes 2 actions to violate the code, and not doing both violates the code. My intent was to do the right thing and abstain. Now, I didn't file the affidavit, and that's just is what it is, but I have since I learned that. So now that this came back up, there was some whispers of this a few months ago, and these whisper campaigns are fun, and they're great to make people look bad. But I wanted to put this on the agenda today to say it in public and let you all know I didn't violate it. If there's any questions, call me. Call the county attorney, or call anybody you would like. But the last thing I want to mention is that I asked the county attorney, and Colleen's not here. I keep pointing back there.
Eddie's out for the day.
She switched sides. Different camera angle, right? Anyway, yeah, no, I'm just kidding. So they have referred this to another county, a county attorney, to review and decide if he sees merit and any need to prosecute.
And if I could just explain that.
Sure, I would love for you to.
Because we work so closely with all of the commissioners, and because the county attorney's office is not an investigative
Can you speak
agency,
to a mic, probably? Sorry.
Come to a mic. Commissioner, thank you. Because the county attorney's office works so closely with all members of the commissioner's court, and because we are not an investigative agency, it was not appropriate ethically, because of the appearance of impropriety, for our office to look into this personally. And so we did reach out to another prosecutor. They will be appointed as a special prosecutor. They have agreed to do that. I have prepared a motion and order that will be presented to Judge Henson this week. And they are going to look into it to do a thorough investigation and make recommendations and any follow-through that they think is necessary. So we should have an update in the next few weeks, I would think, but that will be on their timetable.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure that by doing this is, setting an example, being open, honest, transparency is number 1 in this court. So, and for me. So once that goes through, if that prosecutor decides that there is a violation, then I will walk through that like anybody else would. Just like that, it's plain and simple, and I immediately wanted to put this on the agenda just because, obviously, to defend myself, but whoever got this information just was incorrect about the statute. So I will say, if you don't, is there any questions, though? If not, we can do it afterwards. You can be part of my discussion.
I'm sorry, I'm very hard of hearing. Who signed that letter?
It was anonymous.
Typical, isn't it? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Byerly, for being open and honest and facing this head on. That's the proper way to handle county government, unlike some of the other things we see here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, and, you know, again, when I got this letter, I was compelled to share it with the commissioners, and Commissioner Byerly put it on the agenda at his own initiative. And I had put that whole 171 on the agenda back in September because that was one of the charges against me, that I couldn't be on the PEC board because of 171. Well, no, you can, and that's why we went through about Commissioners Court compliance. And we went through the gamut. And Commissioner Dockery's a licensed real estate broker, but he hasn't done anything that would have interfered with Burnet County, or Commissioner Wall does a lot of hay operations, even with the city of Marble Falls, I believe, right?
Not anymore.
Well, back in the day, he did that.
Yeah.
And Commissioner Luther's emergency medical, you still have a license, I believe, right?
That's still there.
Well, if I stroke out, come take me. But anyway, so that was just to put that, to flush it out, that are we in compliance? And so, and that's whenever you said, oh, well, yeah, I have abstained, which is the right thing to do, of course. There's another little component of it to do the questionnaire thing, and you've fulfilled it ever since then, so.
Correct.
All right, that is posted as an action item. I don't see any action to be taken.
Oh, I
Unless you have
didn't mean to put action, if that's true. I meant to put discussion.
Okay.
Sorry, that's.
All right. 11, discussion or action regarding approval to accept a grant and sign the statement of grant award with the Texas Indigent Defense Commission for FY25 Indigent Defense Improvement Grant for the North Hill Country Public Defender's Office. This is a routine renewal, correct?
Yes, this is the grant that funds our public defender's office. It's paid, the grant covers 66% of the expenses and the match is 33%. The total grant amount is $1,885,510. Of that, the grant pays $1,257,007, and the match is $628,504.
Okay. So we have asked for the grant, and we've received the grant, but we have to have an action item to accept that. So, gentlemen, is there any questions, comments, or motions?
Move for approval.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to accept the grant. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 12, discussion or action concerning naming a road in Sunset Cliff Estates per the CapCog addressing guidelines to be known as Outlook Cove. Commissioner Luther. Or might I say Herb?
Judge, Commissioners, let the record reflect that a third residence is being built on this driveway per the CapCog guidelines. It's a private road. We have to name the road.
Okay.
Move for approval.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to name the road Outlook Cove. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 13, discussion or action concerning the preliminary plat approval for Dickinson Ranch Phase 1C, a public subdivision consisting of 2 lots on 5.97 acres off of Jordan Hill Road.
Judge, Commissioners, just to refresh your memories, they come to us about a month and a half back asking for a variance from the flag lots. We reached an agreement that day in court. At Commissioner Wall's guidance, they have presented that drawing for preliminary plat approval, and it's before you now.
Will the flag still in there?
They're doing a combined driveway, which was resolution reached on the variance request. that services both lots. It's totally within Williamson County. The lot line is set up on the county line where the two lots in their entirety are in Burnet County, but their access is in Williamson County.
Commissioners, McIntyre, Representative
Okay.
Well, it looks like everything's in order of what we were asking for right here.
Took us a couple drawings, but we got it there.
Yes, sir. And just to state my name, Hayden Simmons with Hoover Engineering. I believe last time it was presented, we did not have a shared access easement to be recorded on the plat, and we also had 2 driveways to be proposed, for one for each flag lot. Per the discussion last time, it was to be revised to 1 single access point using a 60-foot shared access easement to access either one of the lots from one point within Williamson County crossing into Burnet County. And that's what we have revised the plat to be from within the Burnet County side.
Move for approval.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second on item 13. All in agreement, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
14, we have acknowledgement of receipt of the TCQ receipt of Burnet County letter on the proposed rock crushing permit, and TCQ letter in regard to Moonlight Bend Mud Municipal Utility District. We have the monthly building septic report and acknowledgement of the 2025 contract renewal letter from Turnkey Health for inmate medical, which went up $48,000 from last year, correct?
Yes, the contract actually allows for a 3.8% increase annually, and it appears that the increase was 3.83%. If the court would like me to, I'll contact Turnkey and ask them.
What is it limited to in the original contract on the escalator?
3.8% annual increase under our current contract, and it went up a little bit more than that. It went up 3.83%.
Okay.
Would the court like me to contact Turnkey?
Okay, so that's not an action item, it's just acknowledgement of receipt. All right, let's see here. 15, discussion or action regarding contracts and agreements or grants to be approved and or ratified. A is approval to accept the FY25 SB 22 Rural Law Enforcement Grant Program for the county sheriffs, county attorney, and district attorney offices. B would be approval to accept the grant award for the Women's Victims Advocate for FY25 Violence Against Women Justice and Training Program from the Office of the Governor, Public Safety Office, Criminal Justice Division. Total amount is $57,054, and our match, which was budgeted, was $24,516. C, approval to accept the FY24 grant for $11,110.89 with the Bulletproof Vest Partnership Program through the Office of Justice Programs at the Department of Justice. D, accept and approve DocuSign for FY25 statewide automated victims notification service maintenance contract with the Texas Attorney General's Office, an agreement with Apprice Insights. E would be approval to accept a grant and sign the settlement of grant award with the Texas Indigent Defense Commission for FY25 Indigent Defense Improvement Grant for the MH Mental Health Social Worker. F would be approval to accept a grant and sign the statement of grant award with the Texas Indigent Defense Commission for FY25 for the North Hill Country Public Defender's Office. G would be approval or action regarding a software services contract with Brightly Software Incorporated. What is that? Do we know?
It used to be called Facility Dude. It's for the maintenance call system.
Okay, so that's a way for employees to log on and request a light bulb being out or whatever, and it tracks requests and they manage the workload that way. H would be an interlocal agreement with Burnet County and the city of Burnet to assist with hot mix overlay during the FY '25 for Southland Drive within the city limits of Burnet, Texas. So that is the contracts and agreements or grants to be approved or ratified. Is there any questions, comments, or motions on any or all of those? Yes, sir?
So the Southland Drive, does that have a precinct number, road number?
2.
City of Burnet, and all city of Burnet was in precinct 2.
So it's no,
I'm sorry?
no precinct number? road
It's
number?
precinct 2.
It's a county road number?
No, no, sir, it's a city road, but it's an interlocal agreement where we work with the cities. They provide the materials, we provide the labor. I mean, you may have something more intricate on that agreement, but.
I will, yes, I wanted to bring that out anyway and separate it, not separate it, we can take action together, but this is a unique one because normally we do one interlocal. We're splitting it up into 2 this year because the city requested that Southland Drive be part of their interlocal, and the second half, or actually 2/3, will be later on next summer, where they're gonna wanna do a portion of Shady Grove. Both of these were formerly county roads 100%, and because of annexation years ago, they became partially city streets, Southland Drive being one of them. Back in 1996, Southland Drive was taken in by this court as a county road from Highway 29 to Possum Trot. That is a county road. They never numbered it, they just kept the name. And then, I can't remember, the city annexed, so 500 feet a long time ago. So now they want us to pave that 500 feet for them through this interlocal. They paved the cemetery road. If you're familiar with Post Mountain Cemetery, that's Southland Drive, out by the old Johnson Ford, currently the Motorcycle Museum. But they asphalted the road to the cemetery, and then they want their 500 feet. I will tell you that the county, because that's only another 500 feet, we're gonna go ahead and continue that asphalt and make it all tie in together.
It used to go to the roller skating rink back
It
in the
used to
day.
go to the roller skating rink, that's right. And so, but yes, it is a county road, it's a precinct 2, it's in my inventory as a county road, it just does not have a number. So, but the other thing I wanted to highlight is that later on in the year, you're gonna see another interlocal. This one's only for up to $4,000 because it's only 500 feet. You'll see a second one for the rest of Shady Grove, from 963 to where our line is, just past the hills of Shady Grove. So getting to do 2 of those projects that aren't just in the middle of the city, so maybe that's better.
Okay, so that's an expanded view of item H.
Yes.
So is there any other comments or motions on item 15?
Mention that the order is
Oh.
included.
Yeah, Commissioner Dockery pointed out, normally it's in 2 files. I did it wrong, it's in 1 file. The order is at the end of the file, same, just so you know. There's an order at the back, but normally that's in 2. But this time it wasn't, so it threw up a flag. But the order is in there, and the copy you have has already been signed by David Vaughn, so.
Okay,
Making motion to approve item 15 in its entirety.
Second.
we have a motion and a second. All in agreement, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 16, discussion or action concerning calling for bids, bid openings, requests and proposals, qualifications, related openings. Let's see, we have the construction of the annex expansion. Is that on the streets now? I believe that closes on the 29th, is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, on the 29th of this month. We're working on putting together, we'll have it listed on a future agenda on the basement leak repairs that we're trying to address. It's been going on for decades. Is there any other bids that we need to?
Currently, we have bids out for hot mix asphalt as well as road striping, and those are also due back on October 29th.
Okay. All right. So as I see it, that's no action then on item 16. We have nothing new to consider. Are you up for 16 or 17?
Public comment on 17.
All right.
As a voter, taxpayer, interested person, I'd like to have the consent agenda open so we can see what's in it. That's my request. Thank you.
All right, 17, the following items are part of the consent agenda and require no deliberation by the Commissioners Court. Any item on this agenda can be considered separately. A would be consideration approval of any pending personnel issues that are within the policy. B would be consideration approval of budget amendments as well as line item transfers. D would be consideration authorization of payment of claims previously approved by the county auditor. E would be acceptance of reports as required by local government code 115.02. F would be consideration approval regarding departmental equipment requests or property transfers. And G would be any correspondence. Might there be any questions, comments, or motions on any or all of the consent agenda?
Judge, I might point out that on item F, the transfer of equipment, there is a transfer in there to transfer candelabras to the city of Burnet.
Yes, so we're getting in the weeds here. This would be the decorative tips that go on top of the streetlights. They're down here. We have 17 of them. The city has many more. They didn't put them up last year because it needs new tinsel. So, but they put them up because it's their lights. Bottom line is I spoke with David Vaughn, the city manager, and we're just gonna let them keep them all together. That way, whenever it comes time, everything's all together. So, but we'll give them to them and let them, because it's their light poles that they go on anyway. So, that's clarification on F. Is there?
Move for approval of the consent agenda in its entirety.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 18 is calendar review.
I'd like to point out that today is County Clerk Lucinda Stafford's birthday.
Happy birthday. Let's see here. Tomorrow is flu shots for employees at the old jail. On the 18th, our next court meeting will be on Friday the 18th, not Tuesday the 22nd. We approved that in court. At 11 o'clock on the 18th, there will be a dedication ceremony right on the south side of the lawn here for what's known as the Travis Letter from the Alamo. We were approached by the Alamo Society folks and gave us a free plaque that commemorates the famous letter that Lieutenant Colonel Travis wrote whenever he was asking for reinforcements and help, and the famous line of, victory or death. So anyway, at 11 o'clock, that'll be happening right over here. We should be done with court by then. And we've got Senator Flores coming and Congressman John Carter and a couple other folks. So there's that. On the 19th will be the HHW event, or BOPATE. Is it BOPATE or HHW?
No, full-blown HHW.
Full-blown. So hopefully the weather will be nice and cool. So when we get out there and work that event.
Saturday, the Y has a free fall festival. The Y has a free fall festival.
Okay.
Lots of introduce and revision texts for kids.
We have election day coming up on November 5th. I'm sure Doug's gonna be needing some help, getting trailers out and whatnot as we embrace that. November the 11th is a holiday, Veterans Day.
Rifles, Racks, and Deer Tracks for the Advocacy Center is October 26th. They are currently selling tables and tickets, and you can win a chance at a Can-Am. And then November the 9th, Boys and Girls Club Buckaroo Ball at Escondido. Uh-oh.
Could we back up here to
Yep.
17? This, I might be kind of stupid, but I see something here that is a consent agenda. And then it has a whole bunch of things here, pending personal issues, concerning budget amendments, concerning budget line item transfers. What in the heck is all of that about? That seems to me like it's just giving you a blank check. Isn't there some way you could be a little more specific on what these things are? You know, I was in accounting for a good number of years.
There's a litany of things that happen there. I've already turned some of it in, but when there's line item transfers, you need to move money from this line item to this another line item.
Yeah, I
within the
understand what's all that about, but I want to know what's included in those items.
Okay, it's part of the minutes.
Oh, all of them are for the minutes?
Yes, ma'am. They're included in the minutes.
Why aren't they laid out here? Why is it just an open blank check for you to do whatever you want to?
It's not an open blank check. There's just some cleanup things. on
Well, I'm
moving.
sorry, but you know, I've got enough background on all this. I'm kind of new to this, but I got enough background from things that I have heard, things that I've seen, that I just don't feel comfortable just giving you things here with permission for anything that could be hidden in these things. I don't trust you. Plain and simple.
The statute allows for a consent agenda, and it's practiced by most entities.
Well, I'd kind of like to know what's in those items.
They'll be available in the court minutes. Okay. So that is everything on the agenda, except for the all-important adjournment, to which I would adjourn the meeting at 10:05.
Mr. Byers? 1 second, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Oh, I'm waiting on it.